Welcome back to KARE 11 News Now. A new chapter is beginning in St. Paul's Midway neighborhood. The building, which used to house CVS, that sat empty for years on the corner of Snelling and University, it's coming down. Ian Russell was there for the community celebration.
I don't think I have ever seen people more excited to see a building come down. We're over here in St. Paul at Snelling and University. This is the Midway CVS. It's been sitting abandoned for years now, and finally demolition is happening to tear this thing down and take it back down to an empty lot and hopefully get something new in here. The building has been closed since 2022, and neighbors told me they think this space has become a blight on the neighborhood. Some told me that they've seen needles and human waste here. The building was ordered to be demolished back in November, and it's been delayed a few times, most recently because of the snowstorm we had over the weekend. But finally, it's coming down, and neighbors were all too happy to celebrate as crews dug in.
I mean, I used to be a CVS customer, but the empty CVS building has been just like our neighborhood nemesis, really, for so long. Like, it's just been a source of problems and annoyance, and really like a waste of a lot of people's time just dealing with all of the complaints and problems.
As for what's going to go in here, it's kind of unclear right now, but neighbors that we talked with told me they're just hoping that it could be anything that could jumpstart business, maybe it's housing, just something that's not an abandoned building. I'm Ian Russell in St. Paul.
What's expected to be a long debate over the SAVE Act is underway this week in the United States Senate. The bill would require people to prove their citizenship in order to register to vote if it's passed. But have you ever wondered if there is even a list of national citizens in this country? Here's what I found out. We've been covering the Save America Act in Congress right now, and it brought up a question. If the government knows who all the citizens are, then why do we have to prove it in order to register to vote? But then that triggered another question.
Does the federal government have a list of all U.S. citizens?
No, it doesn't have a list of all U.S. citizens, and it never has.
Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon says this typically surprises a lot of people, but there are a number of reasons why a so-called master list of citizens doesn't exist.
Remember, we have birthright citizenship in this country, which means if you're born on U.S. soil, you are automatically a U.S. citizen. There's no document you have to fill out. There's no turnstile that you have to walk through. There's no registration process. You just are.
The best record of citizenship, the primary proof, is a birth certificate. Birth records are kept by hospitals, counties, and states, and not the federal government. There are also de facto lists like Social Security numbers. I mean, every citizen has one of those, right? Wrong. The vast majority do, but some non-citizens have them, and conversely, some citizens do not have them, according to the Social Security Administration. Well, what about the census? That's a people counter, not a registry of citizens. What about taxes? Same thing. Paying taxes does not require citizenship. Kids don't pay. Much of the poor don't pay either. How about passports? Well, only 48% of Americans have one. Experts say all this information is kept decentralized for a few reasons, mainly your privacy, but also security.
There are only two types of information technology systems on this planet: those that have been breached and those that will be breached.
Patrick Eddington spent a decade in the CIA, now a senior fellow at the libertarian Cato Institute.
If you were to create a giant honeypot, essentially, of digital information on every single U.S. person in this country, there is not a foreign hostile power with a cyber capability to its name that wouldn't be trying to grab that.
Would it be helpful or harmful if there were a master list?
I think, potentially that would be very, very helpful. But the devil is in the details, obviously. There's some folks right now at the federal government who are attempting to build something like that.
Last year, a team from the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, received access from the Social Security Administration to millions of citizens' data, according to U.S. Judge Ellen Hollander, that included Social Security numbers, medical records, mental health records, driver's license numbers, bank and credit card information, tax information, income history, birth and marriage certificates, and home and work addresses. The judge initially stopped this access by DOGE, but the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 6-3 ruling, allowed it for now. The Department of Homeland Security tells KARE 11 that the information collected goes into a service that verifies citizenship and immigration status by searching available federal government databases. Not a master list, but the closest it's ever been.
The U.S. Senate currently in an extended multi-day debate over the Save America Act, with a final vote unlikely before the end of this week. And despite intense pressure from President Trump, the bill is expected to fail, as it's unlikely to reach the 60-vote threshold that it would need. Stick with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.